You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's $1 Million Listing After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's $1 Million Listing After Show.
Money, money, money.
Ow! I love it. It's perfect.
Especially with these guys.
Yes. You have found yourself at the $1 Million Listing AfterBuzz show. I'm Chelsea Earlewine and the gorgeous Jocelyn Polite.
Hello.
I love our last names. I think Earlywine and Polite are
retro.
Like, yeah, we should start a band or something.
I think so.
It works. Welcome to AfterBuzz, Jocelyn.
Thank you. First on here. Hey, I'm excited and I'm ready.
There's nothing I love more than New York City real estate. I kind of have an obsession.
Oh, I don't know a lot about New York, I have to admit, you know, in terms of like, you know, everything about it. I hear this, the Tribeca and the Chelseas and everything, but I love this show and I love these guys, so I'm ready to dig in.
They make the show. It's like whether you love New York or you've been to New York or you just love watching real estate shows, the three guys on this show, Fredrik, Louise, and Ryan, are absolutely hilarious. It's so much fun to watch.
Oh my God, so much fun to watch. And I think Louise is going to completely get his footing this season because I know last season it was bad for him.
Yeah, it was a bad season for him, but he's making a recovery. Now, we are 3 seasons in, so this is season 3, episode 3, and it's called There Is No Crying in Real Estate.
And there is no crying. Well, unless you're Fredrik.
Yeah, Fredrik's a softie.
Fredrik is a softie with the pink socks, and he does cry quite a bit.
We've seen him shed
but
some tears.
Hardcore. He's hardcore.
He got a little feisty this episode, but we'll get into that. So let's start with Fredrik's listing.
Okay.
So he's got this is now we've been seeing this for a couple episodes now. This property, we're calling it the green property because it's all solar panels. And the last episode, I think he had the bike out and he was trying to like move the bike with the blender on it and make everyone a green smoothie.
I think he had an opening and he was actually making a smoothie, making juice for everyone there. So he's on this bike, you know, making the juice and everything just to show that this property, you know, is just fully green.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So they did the open house last episode, and the biggest downside with this property, even though it is absolutely gorgeous, is the community fees.
Absolutely. $9,000.
$9,000 a month.
A month.
That's monthly.
A month.
That's like $108,000.
Over 100.
Over $100,000 a year just in community fees. And in New York, when you're paying that kind of money, you expect to have a doorman, a pool, a hot tub, laundry taken care of. I mean, for $9,000 a month, there better be somebody taking care of you.
You know,
cooking your meals for you.
I don't know, but I just know for $9,000, I want a whole lot. I mean, I want doorman maid. I want, you know, somebody to come in and put my window up if I need it. I mean, $9,000 a month, over $100,000 a year. That's a lot.
It's absurd.
And then I heard them say 9,000 plus. So it may even be just a little, you know, a little bit more than that. So on top of that, you have a mortgage. So that's a little ridiculous.
And the mortgage is insane. I don't know what it adds up to, but he wants to the seller wants to list his property at $6 million.
Right.
And with that mortgage plus the $9,000 a month, I don't know who can afford that.
I know I can't.
No.
So yeah, I don't know. I think the $6 million is a bit much because I know that they had to go in and try to lower that, you know, a bit because I know that asking was a bit high, and especially with the $9,000 you know, fees and no amenities. And I know when he first showed it, that was one of the things that a lot of brokers were looking at, was like, well, what am I getting? What is this $9,000 doing
what is
for
it going
me?
for?
Yeah.
It's just to live in the building. Like, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I lived in a condo where I had to pay $300 a month, and I got a swimming pool and tennis courts, covered parking garage. Like, there were so many amenities included in that, and that was $300 a month.
Right, but you understood it because, I mean, you know, even though you may have paid and be like, oh, I don't want to pay this $300 a month, you understand it because it's going towards things that you you can use. But $9,000 and it's going towards nothing. And then as we get into this, we find out that there's some issues and some problems going on right around this little neighborhood that they're going to have, that $9,000 is even looking even worse.
Yeah, it is. There is a new construction that's happening, and it's going to block the terrace. This place has a private terrace.
Right.
It's going to block the terrace and make it completely unusable for 2 years. And it's going to block the view once this other building is built.
And did you hear the noise? I mean, there's like full-blown scaffolding taking place. I mean, it's noisy. It just sounds like chaos is going on. And can you imagine going out into your terrace? First, it's blocked. You can't see anything. Then you've got this noise going on every morning when you wake up. And I don't know what time construction starts in New York, but I still would find it annoying. And
Absolutely.
if I'm paying that kind of money, I probably am not waking up super early in the morning.
No, not at all. You're sleeping in. You're enjoying life. We have a giant fly in here, by the way. So if you see or hear our third co-host, that's just a big fat fly. Don't mind him.
I was going to say, you might have some input on this, so we'll invite him in.
He actually landed on my microphone a second ago.
Guys, I'm not a fly. I'm in the booth.
Oh, sorry. No, that's
okay.
sorry, Steven. You looked like a big fat fly to us. That's our producer, Steven.
Ouch.
Oh, sorry, man.
Steven.
So Fredrik, we love Fredrik. Like, Fredrik is just so goofy, so flamboyant. He's a character, but he is dealing with a really tough seller who refuses to budge on this $6 million price.
I mean, this guy is hardcore. I mean, he is dead set on this $6 million.
Everybody thinks their apartment is pure gold.
Absolutely.
In New York.
He thinks this one is like, I mean, he's not budging at all. And usually, you know, Fredrik has that, you know, he's like the superpower broker. I mean, he's the one that can talk people into and to get them down to the price that makes sense, you know, with square footage and all the rest of that stuff. And this guy was not even bending.
No, he wasn't at all. He's very hard-headed. But Fredrik finally got him down to 5.5.
Yes.
He said, okay, you can come down to 5.5, but that was before we found out about the construction.
Absolutely.
So he got him down to 5.5, and the seller said, okay, that's my bottom price. I will not go lower than that. And then we find out about the construction.
And then guess what happens? He doesn't move the price.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care that all of that stuff is going on. That has no effect on his asking price. He wants $5.5 million. That's what he wants. He doesn't care about the construction and everything else that's going on. That's what this man wants. He's hardcore.
Yeah, he is hardcore. So I think we see this a lot on this show and all these real estate shows where a seller thinks that their apartment's the best apartment in the city, and their expectations for what they're going to get is absolutely insane. And they think, oh, you know, $6 million is a fair price, when really it's over $2,000 a square foot, which in any other market in the country is just ridiculous. But in New York, that's the asking price for a lot of places. So.
Absolutely. And the thing that really gets to me, I mean, I like Fredrik. You know, he's definitely, I mean, all three of them are great to me. Fredrik is definitely a favorite. But one of the things that I don't like, and I guess that's because I'm not in real estate, but how they just go, make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen. And I'm like, these are professionals.
That's why I hired you.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's why I hired you.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
5.5, you can do it, make it happen. And you see Fredrik, like, you know, going through all the motions, like, oh my God, you know, how am I going to make this happen? Like, do you understand that what you're asking me is impossible?
Right.
He's like, make it happen.
Yeah.
So
it happens a lot. It's these hard-headed sellers. But if they were to just put themselves on the other side of it for a second, they wouldn't pay that. No. They would negotiate down. So we do get a seller that's interested, and they do put in an offer for $485.
Okay.
Right? $4,850,000. And so Fredrik has to take that offer to his seller. And he takes him a gift, which is a bucket of worms and dirt.
Some compost. Am I right?
That's what it is.
Okay.
For those of you that know what composting is, it's like you take your leftover food and things that can be eaten up by worms,
eggshells. There's all kinds of different things that are in the compost, and it creates chaos that makes things grow. That's what I understand.
The worms like eat it. And then turns into dirt. I don't really know. I'm sure it's a great thing to do, but I can't get into that. I like to recycle, but I'm not that much of a hippie that I am composting.
And I'm not quite sure I would receive those worms the same way that guy did.
Yeah.
I mean, I would kind of be like, what do you mean? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, why are you giving me some dirt and worms? Nice
like,
gift.
Do you hate me? What are you about to say? You're about to sell this for $1? I mean, what's about to happen? So there were worms.
So the buyer was a little put off by the worms. He was okay with it, but he was like, okay, why are you giving me a gift? And that's just because there was a low offer, which of course he immediately rejected.
Oh, he rejected it. Like, he just was like, are you crazy? I think the exact thing, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like, to even bring that to me. So, no. And the thing that was really interesting, too, was, you know, another thing about Fredrik. I love Fredrik and Derek. Remember when they were, you know, with the parrots and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
and
they're so cute.
And he took the phone call, which completely, you know, got the parrots upset and everything in the shop and everything. But that's when he basically was like, that's when he first heard the 4.85, and he was absolutely not having it. He said it's just not going to happen. So that's when he decided to bring the worms. But when he brought those worms, he had a better offer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So the buyer, after a nasty argument, I was actually really surprised because I don't think that I would have the balls as a real estate agent to yell at my client like that.
Wow.
He is just, Fredrik is screaming at his seller.
And pointing his finger.
And
there
pointing
was a
his
lot
finger.
of finger pointing, like, listen to me.
Yeah.
Listen. I was, like, shocked. I'd be like, I mean, to talk to someone like that. But, I mean, it's Fredrik. He is the super broker in New York.
Yeah,
So.
and he knows what to do. And it worked because the buyer came back and said, okay, we'll do 5.35. And it was accepted.
Absolutely. And I was worried about this listing for Fredrik, though. I mean, he was looking, especially when the whole scaffolding issue came about, he was almost looking like he was having like a mini aneurysm or something.
Yeah.
He was rubbing his temples, and I was like, oh, my Fredrik, what is going on? But I'm glad that it worked its way out with the finger pointing and everything. It ended up being a done deal.
It did, yeah. And that, you know what? It's a fantastic apartment. And even regardless of the construction and everything else, it's a great apartment. And they were right that in a couple of years, when the construction's done and things are back to normal, whoever buys that, it's going to be gold. They'll be able to sell that for a couple million higher.
Absolutely.
Than what they paid.
It just seems like where it's located and what's even going up around it, the value of it is just going to go up. So,
yeah. And my favorite vegan restaurant was at the bottom of it.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because I was just in New York in November, and it's one of my favorite little spots. It's called Cafe Blossom, and that was the first shot of the episode was of Cafe Blossom, and I was like, oh, I love that place.
Don't you love when that happens? When
Yes.
you see things in some of our favorite shows, and it's like places that you've been and places that you've seen. You're like, wait a second, that's my favorite place. That's like where I hang out.
It happens a lot living in LA because so much is shot here that I watch shows all the time and I'm like, hey, that's my grocery store. Oh, hey, that's my neighborhood. Oh, hey, you know, it's kind of fun.
Absolutely. So when it happens in a whole nother city, it's even better.
Yes, exactly. So we got to give a shout out to our iTunes lovers. We know that a lot of you are listening on iTunes and downloading the podcast, and we so appreciate it. So we ask for one thing in return. We come here and we do the show, and we love it, and we love TV, and we love giving you some quality entertainment. So please go to iTunes and slap us with a big, fat, lovely rating. Hopefully 5 stars. Hopefully you're loving it. You give us 5 stars. Make sure you tell your friends, rate, comment, share, give us some love. That's how we keep the lights on here at AfterBuzz TV. So it only takes a second. If you could do that for us, we would so appreciate it. Now, moving on to our next topic, Ryan. Now, I have mixed feelings about Ryan because Ryan reminds me, my older brother had this, like, jerk friend that is like his best friend, and they're still best friends, but he's just like such a jerk. But there's charm about him that forces you to like him even though he's kind of a jerk, and that's Ryan to me.
Ryan is a jerk, and it took me a while to warm up to Ryan. I'm not gonna lie. The first couple of seasons, I wasn't really feeling Ryan. I was trying, you know, I was like, he seems sweet, he's cute, you know, but there was something about Ryan I couldn't connect to. And then a little bit more of his story came through, and I think for me it was when I think it was when Sandy came through.
When he got his girl.
He was alone, and he was, you know, kind of like walking the city, and it was just this really sad scene. And I don't know, I just kind of had sympathy for Ryan. But now he's still a bad boy, and he's still, you know, ruthless as I don't know what. But I definitely have some feelings for Ryan now. He's pretty cool. But
he just says what's on his mind, even though sometimes it's really inappropriate, especially in front of clients. And he almost comes off as immature.
He has no filter.
Yeah, he has no filter whatsoever.
None whatsoever, and it just if it's on his mind, it comes right out, and that's just how you have to deal with Ryan. I mean, he has a girlfriend this season. I don't know how she's dealing with that, but hey, it might work.
So Ryan has an interesting property. It's in Midtown, and it has a fantastic view of the Chrysler Building. It's got floor-to-ceiling windows. It's got a private terrace. Like, it is a killer apartment, and
beautiful.
He's dying to sell it. But I think he has the worst case scenario of a seller.
Oh my God, this seller. She is so emotionally attached to this apartment. It's crazy. Her kids grew up in the apartment. She got pregnant in this room.
I mean, their first steps there.
Oh, and they like the doorman, and the doorman says hi to them when they get back from school. And it's like, oh, and how do I part with this place? You know?
That's what she sounds like. She's just like whiny and emotional about it, and she doesn't want to get rid of it. So she says in the beginning that she may want to rent it, which is like the worst nightmare to a real estate agent, that their sellers says they want to rent, because obviously they're losing out on a commission. And for these properties that we're talking about on the show, their commission is $200,000 plus. Like, it's a lot of money. So for your seller to say that they're thinking about renting is just bad news.
I mean, in the look on his face when she said it, it was like, rent?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like really, like you want to rent? I mean, it was just that bad. But I understand that. I mean, you know, if you're renting, you know, you're not selling the property, you're not making the commissions. And we see on this show a lot of times they have right on there what the commission is, and they are high.
Yeah.
I mean, even the ones that are low are still high.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're talking rent, it's like, but, you know, for him, he had a good comeback though.
Yeah.
He had a really good comeback. He had the horror story, the renter's horror story, which was like great, because he told that story of what a renter will do to your apartment.
Yeah, and they'll trash your memories. This happened to me. I lived through this. I owned a property, and I made all my lovely memories there. I owned it for a few years, and then I moved out of state and decided that I needed to sell it, but I was underwater in it. So I had to rent it. And so for me, it wasn't as much of a personal attachment, but I had to rent the property. I was in no other position than renting it. So I did, and it got trashed.
Really?
Trashed. The renters lost their jobs. They weren't able to afford it. They broke things in my house. They trashed the walls. I mean, they just completely destroyed my apartment. So when I went back in town to finalize, you know, everything, I just looked around and it was like all my memories were ruined.
Oh, no.
Everything I had created there was trashed.
And so that is a nightmare, because that's your stuff. I've never been in that position, but I have been in the position where I was going to rent my you know, apartment out I was going to rent it out or sublease it or whatever you call it for the summer to someone from Florida that was coming to work. And last minute, I didn't do it because I was just like, this is my stuff.
Yeah.
You know, this is my stuff. It's my space. You know, I don't know if I want someone else's energy in it. So I kind of understood. I understand where she's coming from. I get where she's coming from. But her emotional attachment to it, I mean, it happens. But, you know, she sounded like she needed to move, though. So.
Yeah. Yeah. She was overboard with the emotional attachment. So Ryan talks her into doing an open house, and let's just see what happens. Let's see what type of offers we can get. So he does an open house, a pretty typical open house, nothing too crazy. But the potential buyers he gets are very interesting. It's almost a nightmare of an open house. Like, every buyer that came in just had a weird story, or I don't know. My favorite, though, was the one that ended up coming back.
Oh, yeah. That was, who is it? The son of the drug dealer.
Yes, son of a drug dealer. He's a son of a drug dealer, and he owns a strip club.
That's right. He's in entertainment. He started off with, like, I'm in entertainment. He kept it appropriate for, like, a half a second. He was like, I'm in entertainment, and then he came back with, okay, it's a strip club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Ryan, of course, being off collar the way he is, and you know how he is. He's like, oh, does your daughter work? I mean, I was like, whoa, Ryan, back off.
He's like, do you have kids? And the guy has a daughter. He says, oh, so does she work for you?
Like,
she's 8 years old. See, this is the type of stuff that Ryan says that is just so inappropriate. Even to a drug lord and strip club owner, like, it was still inappropriate.
And this open house was like, you know, it was kind of in fashion with Ryan. I mean, Ryan throws some off the chain open houses. I mean, he has before. And this one, I believe, he kind of seemed like he kind of opened the door and let people in off the street. He was just like, I'm having an open house. Hey, you want to come on in and join and see if you like this place? I mean, this is the kind of you know, because some of the people there weren't like when we see them, when he has them with brokers and with other people like that.
Right, and brokers were coming without buyers. And he's like, how long have you been in real estate? And they're like, oh, 2 weeks. It was not the best crowd.
It was a colorful crowd.
Yes,
it was a colorful crowd.
Yes, appropriate wording. Colorful crowd. I think he was just trying to get some sort of offer to show his seller, like, okay, look, this is money. You could take this. This is money in your hand. Why not? The memories you can create somewhere else.
Well, he wants her to do he doesn't want her to rent. So he's like, hey, let me try to bring in who I can. You know, even our quirkiest, craziest people, they have money. You know what I'm saying? And they're looking for a place. So let's just bring him in and see where it lands. And he found the son of the drug dealer. Yeah. So, you know.
Who has a tattoo of a gun on his head that says Thug Life.
Yes.
Like, this is the type of guy that, I mean, he's got money, though.
Hey.
He's got enough money to pay for this apartment.
I don't know. I just know that I could only imagine the seller's face if she found out that this is the type of person that wanted her property.
Yeah.
Where her children grew up and played on the floor and rode their tricycles and all these kind of things. She probably would not have it whatsoever. I mean, especially with the stripper pole possibly going up in the middle of the in the middle of the room. So I don't know. But you know, and his broker was kind of interesting too, with the like McFly glasses.
Yeah. He did have some interesting glasses, and
he was interesting.
He seemed like a drug lord.
I don't know if the rules are any different for real estate in New York as opposed to North Carolina, but it's sad that, I mean, real estate agents can't really redline people away from an area, and they can't put them in different areas depending on their religion or anything like that, because it's protected classes, of course. But in this sense, it just seems like you never want a real estate agent that's just going to bring whoever for any offer.
Right.
Because what they're really trying to do is they're really trying to make it so, okay, they brought you a valid buyer with a valid offer. Therefore, if you fire them because you don't like them as a real estate agent, they can sue you for their commission because they brought you a valid offer.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. That's good input, Stephen. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like usually, I mean, they wouldn't sue them usually, but there are some people who will sue because they don't really care about word getting out that they'll sue their clients. But it's really, if they bring you an offer, any offer at all, and you don't take it and you fire them, if the offer was within your range that you've decided with your agent, and if it was a valid offer, they passed the credit check, it went through, and if you accepted, you would have gotten the money, honestly, you are at fault for the commission to your real estate agent.
Oh, no, that makes sense, though.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And this is a perfect situation where something like that could happen, because this seller absolutely would have met the buyer and said, no way.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I am not selling my property to this person. So that's really interesting that if that would have happened, I mean, it didn't end up going down like that. The guy ended up going with a different property and didn't make an offer. Right. But I didn't realize that. That's an interesting point.
In the same respect, if the seller himself had a real estate license and he didn't want to sell to that seller, and that seller and that buyer had a certain medical issue or something, or his tattoos were religious or some way, that seller would lose his real estate license for not selling to that able buyer.
Discrimination.
Wow, so that's discrimination right there.
Yep. Or if he didn't want to sell to him because he's white or because he's black, anything like that.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
That is. But you know, people would be picky about who they would want their property to go to. So that must be like a really thin line. That must be kind of rough, which is also why you don't want to have the seller at any of those openings, because you don't want them to even see who the people
exactly.
are.
Yeah, you can't have a seller at an open house because they will pick and choose who they want to live there, especially when they're so emotionally attached to a property.
But that's also like, if you're going to be a property manager, in other words, if you're not selling, if you're going to be a manager, like in your case, Chelsea, it's highly recommended to take a real estate course, but do not take the test to get your license. If you don't get your license, you're not held by the same rules.
So you can discriminate.
Okay, so you're knowledgeable, but it's like, hey, I'm not a broker. I'm not actually, someone that's holding a license.
Right. There's no repercussions if I say, no, I don't want to rent to you.
Yeah,
I still
and honestly,
am able to say
when you're
that.
renting property, like there's sometimes where, I mean, it's discrimination, but it's not discrimination in the negative form of the word. It's, hey, I mean, I understand you have 3 kids. You are legally obligated to rent to them, but it's kind of like, look, guys, I mean, we don't want kids in this apartment. Like, I don't want kids in my apartment. As a real estate agent license, you are not allowed to say that. But if you've taken the class, you know that, but you know all the information, but you can still deny renting to somebody who is a protected class like that.
Selective turn downs.
Yes,
that's like selective turn downs.
I like it. Stephen is a fountain of knowledge.
I know.
I'm so grateful you're here, Stephen.
Learned something today. Check.
So in the end, this buyer did not end up going with this property.
Well, they felt that the price was too high.
Yeah.
I mean, this condo was going for $6.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were not trying to have that. They didn't want to pay that for it.
Yeah. It was too high, so it didn't end up working out. So I mean, we'll see if she decides to rent. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know if she's going to go back and say that she wants to rent, or if it's just a done deal. I don't know.
I think it depends a lot on if she's willing to come down from that 6.5, because Ryan was trying to get her to come down from that 6.5, but she really didn't want to. I mean, obviously she has the emotions tied in, so the value of it to her is sitting at 6.5.
Yeah.
And those people, that guy looked like he was probably ready to like buy the place, had it been a little bit more negotiation and wiggle room, but it wasn't. It was tight.
It's again the case where the seller thinks their apartment is gold.
Yes.
Although that apartment did have fantastic views of the Chrysler Building.
The best
and the
views.
East River. Oh
my God. Like floor to ceiling windows.
Yeah,
and, I mean, that was a nice place.
It was a sweet apartment. It was a sweet apartment, that's for sure. All right, so moving on to your favorite, your lover boy, Luis.
Oh, I love Luis.
He's so cute.
You know, I felt so bad for Luis. Like, you know, I felt bad for Luis last season. He had a rough, you know, he was a newcomer. He was just getting in there, and he was having a really rough time. And I mean, Fredrik and Ryan were coming for him, and he kind of got hazed, like a fraternity. You know what I'm saying? He kind of got hazed.
It was like
he really
an initiation into $1 Million Listing.
It was brutal. Yeah. It was brutal. So this season, he seems like he's coming back. He's kind of got it together.
He's getting his confidence. He's figuring out how to do this game and how to do it well. And, you know, I don't think this episode he made a lot of great decisions, but you can tell he's starting to get his confidence and get his game going.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's, you know, I think he's getting a little bit more bold. I think he's putting himself out there. I mean, he's already got the look going. You know, he's got his thing going. He has his tailored suits. He's got his perfect hair.
Oh,
I mean, not his one hair is out of place.
No, his hair is perfect.
Absolutely.
His gorgeous eyes.
Yeah, and he's just a handsome guy, and he's very charismatic, and it looks like, you know, he can get along with people, and he can talk the talk, and he's just got that going about him. But I just think that as far as like being that shrewd business person and that broker that gets in there, he didn't really have that quality, I felt like.
Right. You have to be really tough as a real estate agent, especially in New York City. And he's got a little too much charm. He's a little too soft. But I think it's going to take a lot of experiences that will get him to be that hard ass that he needs to be.
Oh, I think he might be on his way. He might be on his way. He's working on it.
He's got a great apartment on his hands. It's one of my favorite areas. It's the Upper West Side of New York. Views of the Lincoln Center. I mean, oh, this apartment, I would die for this apartment. It's so great.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I have to say, it was beautiful. The layout, I think it was 3,000 square feet. And it was just, the layout of it was beautiful. Of course, like me, I'm always like looking at the kitchen and the bathroom. And I was looking at that bathroom and I want that.
To have big, nice bathrooms and a big open kitchen in New York City is expensive. You got to pay for it. So this is listed at $7.8 million.
Yes. And let's talk a little bit about how he got this, because he sat down, you know, with the woman that was in pink.
Yes,
you know,
the woman in pink. Yes.
All I remember is the woman in pink.
Yeah, and her blush was as pink as her shirt.
It matched her outfit.
Yeah,
her blush matched her outfit. But he sat down with her, and I felt like he really gave a good pitch for himself on how he could sell. And I think he was thinking really big, and he thought like, you know, hey, give me this whole unit, give me this actually a whole apartment. I can do this whole building.
Yeah.
She said, you know what, I'm going to give you one unit, $7.8 million, and 6 months to sell it. So this is where he started, and I think he did pretty good with negotiating that and getting that deal for himself.
Yeah, he got the exclusive on it, so no one else can list his property, no one else can sell it. It's exclusive to him. So he's got to think really big when it comes to an open house. Okay. And he starts thinking really big.
Well, the power meeting was the best. Now, I love this because they had a broker brainstorm going, and they all were sitting around the table trying to figure out what they were going to do. Because really, when you think about it, it's like event planning. I mean, like when you plan these openings, you can't just have a walkthrough. I mean, that's boring, especially when you're talking about this level of real estate and this kind of money. So you have to be original, and you have to put something out there that's going to be fun and that's going to attract people. So this brainstorm, I loved, because everyone was going around the table like, what are we going to do? Are we going to hang from the ceiling? What are we going to do?
It's got to be difficult to come up with new, fresh ideas for each of these listings. Because you don't want to do the same thing that someone else did or something you've done before, because word gets around. As big as New York City is, it's a small community of real estate agents, and they know what each other are doing. So you've got to come up with something creative.
And they did, don't you think?
They did. I don't know how I feel about this.
I don't know. You know, when I first heard it, it was the fairy tale, this whole fairy tale and the narrator and everything like that. And I thought, you know, when he said black tie and the fairy tale, I thought, you know, that's nice. I mean, I can see an opening like that. It's classy. You're inviting, you know, a certain level of person that would buy it, you know, that type of thing. The caliber, exactly. And so I was like, okay, this will work. But then he started getting into having a narrator, and he started getting into like books, and I was like, okay, where are you going?
This book thing. He wants to send out a book to every potential buyer and all these brokers. So he wants to send out a book about the apartment with a story about the apartment as this fairy tale.
It's a book that has illustrations of the apartment, like you're saying. So it has illustrations. It's a walkthrough almost of the apartment in the book.
Yeah.
And it's like this fairy tale, like, this is where you can live. This is where you can end up. This is, you know, like, this is your fairy tale
He's
place.
like painting this picture
exactly
for a potential buyer. But what I thought originally when he was talking about this, I thought he was going to send out maybe like a 10-page like pamphlet or something, you know, something inexpensive, something to show the apartment and say, you know, here's the open house, go ahead and come. But we do see the book because he does send the book to Ryan because Ryan could have a potential buyer for this apartment. So we see Ryan opening the book and it is massive.
It's a coffee table book. It is huge.
It's got to be at least 200 pages.
It has to be. It's thick. It's this black book. It's really gorgeous. I mean, it looks like he put a whole lot into it. The layout of it is nice. And I mean, the title on the front. I mean, it's this gorgeous book. I mean, it'd be a great, like I said, coffee table or, you know, sit it on your ottoman.
Right.
It's a great book, but it's a bit much for it to be inviting someone to an opening. It was thick.
Well, and what am I going to do with that book? Why would I have that on my coffee table unless that was my apartment?
Right.
It's just kind of weird to have a coffee table book with photos of someone else's apartment.
This is a party I went to, and I have an entire book about it. Check it out.
Right.
You know,
and that's like, you'd pay like $50 for that book. It was a nice hardbound book.
It was.
Where did he get the money to put into this book? It's just like, it was so crazy.
Well, let's also talk about, there's the book, because we know that took a lot of money.
Yeah.
But also, he staged this apartment.
Yep,
he
he
had to
staged the
dress
whole
this
thing.
apartment up. He had to put some furniture in it and make it lovely and everything, which he did.
Which you have to do in New York for a high-end apartment. If it is vacant, you absolutely have to stage it, which means you bring in all the furniture and the finishing so it looks like someone lives there, but still kind of looks like a model home.
Absolutely. And I can understand that. And you have, like, I think I'm the type of person where if it was empty, I can kind of see it because I have that, you know, I feel like creative enough where I can figure it
visual
out.
brain,
but when you're spending that kind of money, you don't want to try to figure it out. You
No.
want to see what it's going to look like. Your furniture may look a little different, but you know what? I see the layout of it. I see where it's going.
Yeah.
So I understand that. And the staging was beautiful. And I think it was around $15,000 to stage the place.
That's just staging it. And then he does the open house, which is so extravagant and so over the top. He's got a string quartet welcoming people into the party.
There was a string quartet,
There
right?
was, yeah.
And
there was
caviar
yeah,
and
yeah.
Bentleys. And I mean, it was beyond a fairy tale to me.
Yeah, it was over the top extravagant. So that's how he gets people into the apartment. And then once they're in, there is a narrator that leads them through the apartment and tells them the story that is in that book, retells it to them as they're walking through it. And he's asking them to close their eyes and visualize themselves there. It was so over the top.
It was a bit much for me, I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie. Like the whole narrator and he's, you know, sitting there reading everybody. And, you know, to me, that's just a distraction. I don't know if I don't know about that one. But I think Luis went a little far with the narrator. I think the event, great. I can see that. But the narrator was a bit much. But I guess if you spent the money on this book and you're doing all that you're doing, he's trying to impress pink women.
You got to think about the demographic that you're selling to, though.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're gonna sell a house in a suburban area, what are you gonna do to prepare? You're gonna do the landscaping.
Yeah.
You're gonna make the house look really nice. You're gonna have like the kids' room, the bonus room. You're gonna have the little. You're gonna have lots of flowers and things like that. And you're gonna bake cookies in the oven.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Yes.
if you're gonna be entertaining millionaires, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have what millionaires blow money on.
Yeah.
Random useless crap
String quartets.
that makes them look good. That people are gonna be like, ooh, this
Yeah.
guy's fancy.
Yeah.
So string quartet, and then you're gonna have those really nice books. Because honestly, if you're gonna sell an apartment for what? How much was this going for?
7.8.
$7.8 million. That's mean his commission is probably going to be an 8-9% commission. That's $750,000. If he puts $50,000 into one showing and gets 50 people to show up who are absolutely blown away, he's definitely going to get at least 3 offers from that are, even if they're lowball, he's still going to end up with a $600,000 commission if they sell for $6 million.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Think about it. He's missing out on maybe 0.5% to 1% of his commission, probably even less.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to keep on contract. He doesn't have to worry about it. He puts all his eggs in a basket and gets it sold within the first 3 months, as opposed to keeping it on market. And the longer it's on the market, when it's a high-priced, valued property like that,
Yeah.
honestly, the less people are interested.
Yeah, it's true.
If it's going fast, you can say it's going fast, and he can say that he sold his house quickly to the next client, and it's going to get him more clients.
Yeah, it's true. So it's a good investment for him. It's just, it was so cheesy.
It was cheesy. But you know what? But also, there were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
I mean, the people showed up for it. I mean,
That's
there
true.
were, from what I saw, a lot of people showed up for it. When he was doing the tours with the narrator, people showed up. So yeah, definitely he's going to get the offers for it. It was cheesy. I mean, it was high on the cheesy factor. But if you're talking about this level of money and these people, it's going to be a little cheesy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So it probably was a good investment for him to put this kind of money into it. But we did not get a resolution to this story for this episode. This was left as a cliffhanger for us because, you know, he did send that book to Ryan.
Yes.
For Ryan to bring one of his potential buyers to.
Which is dangerous.
Yes, which is dangerous
because Ryan is cutthroat now.
Yes.
You know, and he's experienced that with him before. But, you know, maybe, you know, they kind of like made away and everything is cool now, or so he thinks. But, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't trust Ryan if I were him, to be honest, right now. I wouldn't, not with this, because this is just something, this opening is something that he was given as a tester for himself. So you let Ryan slide in there and those other units. Yeah. Ryan is going to try to, you know, that's just my guess, you know. I don't know.
Getting ahead on the predictions there, Jocelyn.
Okay.
So we did get just a big cliffhanger, really. We see Ryan walking into the open house, and it leaves it at that. We did get a little snippet of next week that there is going to be some sort of confrontation between the two, but we don't know exactly what.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen.
It will be interesting.
It will be, and I think that all of this taking place at this black tie event is going to be interesting, because I love when like the really crazy, shady stuff goes down at the black tie event.
Oh,
you know, you've got the string quartet playing, you've got the caviar, you've got all this stuff going on, and then you've just got this ruthless, backstabbing stuff going on.
Yeah, there's got to be like a drunken cat fight at that type of thing. There has to be. You got to mix it up. So let's get into our predictions.
Okay. Well,
the soundboard hung. But yeah, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
Thank you, Steven. What do you think? What are we going to see next episode?
Well, I definitely think there is going to be a male cat fight at this black tie event.
Yeah,
I definitely think that that's going to happen. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to work out for Louise. I think inviting Ryan is probably a big mistake. So I kind of predict that that's going to be a problem.
Okay. I think maybe with Ryan, what's going to happen with his emotional seller is that she's going to back out. I think that's going to happen. I think that's an easy prediction, but I think she's definitely going to back out and decide that she wants to rent the property, and he's going to lose that. So that's going to make him even more motivated to try to take more of those properties in this Lincoln Center building from Louise. So I think we're going to have, I think there's going to be some drama next week.
Oh, yeah. And I think next week is going to be very dramatic. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I want to say really quick, just so people don't bite my head off in the comments on this. I was exaggerating on the percentage for a commission. Just saying that, because people would be like, are you kidding me?
Well,
8%?
you know what, though? They do say, what is it, like 3%? But I think it's 6% you have to give half to the selling broker. I can't remember what it is. So I think it ends up being closer to 3%.
Yeah, but 8% is a lot. I was kind of just exaggerating.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We forgive you. We appreciate your input, Steven.
I know. We're talking, you know, look what we're talking. We're talking about narrators and fairy tales of the black tie. So, hey, you know what I mean?
It's all good. All right. So, Jocelyn, where can the people find you if they want to check you out online?
You can find me on Twitter at Jocelyn Polite.
Awesome. And I'm Chelsea Earlewine. You can find me at Chelsea Earlewine. That's CHELSEARLEWINE. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for watching the $1 Million Listing After Show here on AfterBuzz TV.
Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.